I welcome you back. Thank you for staying with us this morning. This is Newspaper Headlines and Analysis. I'm Oluwayemi Adela. I have with me in the studio this morning Lekon Shobowale, who is a journalist and a public affairs analyst. Welcome on board.
Good morning, Yemi. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Let's start from Nigeria News Direct this morning. I have this headline that says Nigerians react to fresh wave of insecurity, demand resignation of President Tinubu. As Atiku accuses Tinubu of coercing judges into political alignment. Nigerians, some, not all actually, are calling for the resignation of the president to say that, he's not been able to tackle this at all. Do you think that will solve the problem, or should we begin to look at how to actually, stop all of this happening in the country?
Well, for me, I've also watched some comments on the social media and calling for the resignation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But I want to say that as much as the fact that the recent events in the last 7 days, they were so disturbing and very traumatized, but the resignation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not the solution to this problem. This is not be the first time that things like this have been happening in the country. In the last almost 12 years, we've been witnessing the drastic increase in the operation of these terrorists and bandits. But I think, oppositions will always be oppositions.
Okay.
If you are asking President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to resign, so are you saying Vice President Kashim Shettima should take over? Shettima has also been, indicted by some section of politicians that, he has been the sponsors of some of these terrorists and bandits. So are you now saying the president and the vice president should resign? So who will now take over the affairs and the running of the country? So I think it is not all about President Tinubu to resign. It is time for us in Nigeria, for all of us to come together, and reason as one, and work assiduously and help our security agents, in order to find a lasting solution to this. In the last 7 days, over 200 people have been kidnapped. A lot of people have been killed. This should not be trivialized. This should not be politicized. This is not a time for politics. This is not a time to plan to talk 2027 election. This is a time to be a true and a patriotic Nigerian. If, for some of us that traveled, most times when we are going, when we are coming, it's always, Yoruba will say, fu ayafu. We are taking a risk. Yeah. And it's even getting to a level that for some people, I was reading something online this morning, and the pastor was saying that maybe churches will need to introduce an online service again, because
what happened during the COVID time?
You understand that maybe some people will even have to start working from home, because of what? Because of the fear of these terrorists and bandits. So I think this is not the time to call for resignation of anybody. It is a time for us to come together and stand together as Nigerians and think of the possible ways out of this issue. So I don't subscribe to the fact that the president should resign. I can only appeal to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Yesterday he suspended his trip to South Africa and Angola, just because of this. And the vice president also visited Kebbi State. They are doing all what they can. We can all see yesterday, even the Nigerian troops that were on their way to rescue the Kebbi girls were also attacked. Ambush were laid for them, and some of them were attacked. And all this calls for a great concern from a serious-minded and a patriotic Nigerian. So this is not the time. It is time for political gladiators like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar to also come together and also, you should suggest ways through which Nigeria can, we can find our way out of this, and not to be calling for the resignation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. if he's calling for resignation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a lot of people will read political meanings to that, and I can tell you that that is not even helping the former vice president.
Okay, let's also look at this one. In the Punch newspaper, I have this one that says, Kwara, Kebbi abductions, federal government blames U.S. as kidnap outrage spreads. You know, really, are we supposed to be shifting blames at this point in time?
Well, what the Secretary of Government of the Federation, George Akume, was saying yesterday was that, you know, we already have a kind of improvement, you know, in the operation of our Nigerian troops. You know, these terrorists are being degraded daily, but because of the tweets, you know, the continuous tweets on the X of President Donald Trump, you know, that he now categorized Nigeria as a country of great concern, and he's saying that, you know, the U.S. may be forced to deploy its troops, you know, to Nigerians. You know, that comment serves as an encouragement, you know, to these bandits and terrorists. That before now, you've not been seeing these, you know, terrorists in recent times. You've not been seeing these terrorists, bandits going into churches, you know, kidnapping and killing people. But because of the comments of President Donald Trump, you know, it's like a wake-up call to these terrorists and the bandits. And that was what George Akume was saying yesterday, that instead of these public comments, you know, the U.S. should find a way of supporting Nigeria. You know, it is not through deploying its troops, you know, through, you know, equipment, you know, intelligence and partnership, you know, in combating these menace of terrorism and banditry. So I wouldn't know, I don't know, but I think I'm also of the opinion that you know, the comments by the U.S. government, U.S. president, to be specific, you know, shouldn't have, you know, been surfaced at all. You know, the comments, you know, in the last 2-3 weeks of that comment, you can see a whole lot of reactions, and so I think it is very important. One will have, you know, believed that President Donald Trump should have discussed underneath the Nigerian government and asked, what can we do to help you? Now this thing is getting out of hand. There was a time that the U.S. government came into Nigeria to rescue one of their citizens, and it was long after the operation that some of us were, you know, hearing that they came and they. So if they can do that, they can also come and assist Nigeria. What we need now in this country, it is not a blame game. You know, what we need is solution to this, because, you know, you cannot just imagine a brigadier general of the Nigerian army. Look at the way the man was executed. You understand that the man also had a wife and children. You know, you can imagine the kind of, you know, the kind of conditions.
Even the fear of his comrades to see that if a brigadier general can be killed in this manner.
So I think this is not a time for blame game. This is a time for action. You know, this is a time for Nigerians to seek help, you know, and not to be, yes, yesterday, you know, some Nigerian delegation had a meeting with United States government, and, you know, so many things were discussed. These are the kind of news, these are the kind of development that, for me, I'm expecting from our leaders here, and not to be trading blames. It is U.S. government, it is U.S. president. Let us find a way out of this. This is, see, Nigeria is in a very critical situation now, and we need help, and not for us to be, you know, saying it is the U.S., it is the president. So let us all come together and find a way out of this issue.
I think it's a fine place to leave at. I do hope that the girls adopted, you know, will be rescued soon, honestly. Still in Punch newspaper, I have a headline that says, Wike slams Turaki as please sue PDP secretariat. You know, as we are trying to battle with insecurity, I think PDP, you know, is in a dire situation. It was messy, you know, a total embarrassment to the country. What happened on Tuesday, you know, at the Wadata Plaza, and now Wike is slamming Turaki. Some persons are saying that maybe the convention shouldn't have happened. Some others are saying maybe Wike and the likes of Ayofashi should not have been suspended. While some persons are saying the expulsion, rather, you know, is what PDP needs at this point. What do you make of all of this, Billy?
Well, see, let me tell you, I can only wish the PDP well, but I never expected that this will degenerated into this mess. So let me tell you, the tenure of Damagu led National Executive Council ordinarily should have expired on December 8th. I don't see reasons why the PDP should not have waited till December 8th for their tenure to expire. And you can go ahead with whatever you want to. You know, today is November 20. You know, Anyawu is laying claim that they should allow him to see off his time. December 8, November 20 is just a difference of almost 18 days. And aside from that, you know, most of our politicians, most of our leaders, they are so careless and carefree that they don't respect the rule of law. 2 Federal High Court judgments that the convention should not go ahead. Very clear. And PDP led by our governor, Governor Sheyi Makinde, approached Oyo State High Court. And they gave an ex parte order. You know, as a journalist, I'm not a legal practitioner, but as a journalist, you know, I've worked with so many legal practitioners, you know, conducting interviews, special reports, and I know that there is no way an ex parte order of a state high court can override a subsisting judgment for the federal high court.
So they should have gotten a higher court order.
You don't understand. See what the dispute is very simple. But sometimes I look at our leaders, you know, look at what happened at PDP Secretariat 2 days ago. Very embarrassing. You know, look at the Oyo State Governor, look at Bauchi State Governor, look at very embarrassing, and even if I don't know, but I don't understand. In the judgment of the Supreme Court, Abure versus Labour Party, Supreme Court said the internal crisis of a political party, it is their business. There are no court of law in the land should intervene in the internal crisis of any political party. That judgment is there. I just keep wondering that why is it that what is the problem that the Damagu faction of PDP cannot just wait and just see out the December 8th expiration of Damagu-led faction, Damagu-led ESCO of the PDP. At the end of the day, the Federal High Court will still go back to the judgment of the Supreme Court, because there is always precedent, and the precedent is that no court of law should interfere in the activities of any political party. That was the judgment by the Supreme Court in the case of Labour Party versus Abure. So, if the Federal High Court gave a judgment that no convention for now, then you move to the appeal court. As a matter of fact, the case may not even get to the Supreme Court, because the appeal court will just go back to the judgment of the Supreme Court, and that will have laid the problem to rest. And all this that we are having now should not even come at all. So, you know, Wike, Makinde, Bala, I don't understand. But, you know, the painful thing there is that, you know, they are saying Nigeria is heading to a one-party state. They are the one that is leading Nigeria to a one-party state. Because whatever the case may be, wait till December 8th. Let the tenure of this ESCO, let it expire by December 8th. Then you can do whatever you want to do. So with all these things that you are doing now, are you not leading Nigeria to a one-party state? Because when you are having 2 factions in your party, at the end of the day, any of your members that contested on that platform, it is very clear that is why Governor Ademola Adeleke of Osun State refused to show up, because he'll be running for an election next year, and he knows that there is no way he can run that election on the platform of PDP that he will not have a problem. Former Senate President Bukola Saraki said that any serious politician will not, how will I put it now? No serious politician will run on the platform of PDP as it is now. It is very dangerous. It happens in 2022 in the case of Zamfara APC and Zamfara PDP. Zamfara APC won all the elections from House of Assembly to Governor to House of Reps to Senate. But in the judgment of the court said ordinarily the May Mala led interim MESCO have no power to conduct a primary election. And at that time, APC was being governed by May Mala Buni led caretaker ESCO. Then, before the coming of Abdullahi Adamu, who was the former national chairman of APC. So the court used that instance, to nullify the election of all APC candidates.
And Dauda Lawal came up.
And that was why you're having a PDP government in Zamfara State. One should have expected that would be a very good lesson to PDP. And that is the part PDP, that is the part they are doing now. So for me, I don't know the fate of Demola Adeleke in Osun State now.
There are claims that it might move to the APGA or maybe STP.
Should that
not
be?
Certain though.
But should that be the solution? Should that even be at all?
It's sad, really.
And you are saying that Nigeria is heading to a one-party state. Are you not the one leading us to a one-party state? If you cannot resolve the crisis in your party, it is so sad.
Honestly, I do hope they will find a way to resolve all of this before the next election. Let's talk about doctors now. Moving to New Telegraph, federal government and resident doctors suspend strike, 19 out of 20 demands addressed. And then I think recently Akpabio came out to say that Nigeria is not the only country with problems. Other countries also have problems. I watched a video about a week now where UK doctors came out to protest because of their demands. What do you make of this? 19 out of 20. Do you think it suffices, for the doctors to call off the strike and go back to work?
Yes, I think if our doctors, if they want to be patriotic enough, if you have 20 demands and 19 have been met, I don't know why they are still on that strike.
Don't you think it's because, they've faced situations in the past where the government will say, oh, these demands that are left, we are going to attend to it, and then the government, then attend to it.
The simple truth of the matter is that not all your demands can be resolved in one day.
Okay.
Like I used to say, it is not their fault, it is the fault of our political class. When you say our political class, when they show extravagance, when they display unnecessary wealth. So some of these labor unions always believe that we have more than enough, and it's as if our leaders don't want to pay attention to them. But the simple truth of it is that if you're having 20 demands and 19 has been resolved, then what is the essence of the strike? So, and that is where the issue of being patriotic is coming out from. Look at our soldiers. Look at the sacrifices they are making every day. Look at the way they are being killed every day. And because of that, they are not saying they will not still go back to Borno State. They are not saying they will not go to Zamfara State. And our doctors should be patriotic. Government cannot satisfy everybody. This is our country. We just have to. This happens in US, it happens in UK, it happens in Canada, it happens everywhere. So you cannot say you have 20 demands and government must be able to solve all the 20. It is not possible. If truly government has resolved 19 out of the 20, even if government has resolved 15 out of the 20, Nigerians it should be Nigerian first before any other thing. You are a Nigerian before you talk of you are a doctor or a nurse or a health worker. Or Nigerians should be patriotic enough. I want to advise and appeal to our resident doctors to please share their strike and considered so many lives that will have been lost in the days of their strike and return back to work.
I think it's a good one, because the lives of the people must be safe. Before we go, on The Guardian, I have a headline that says 230 million Nigerians to unseat Tinubu defecting governors. That's coming from El-Rufai. And some persons are saying, El-Rufai should go and have one place to seat because, it's not been at the forefront of the political scene over time. It was even suspended for 30 years from the SDP.
Well, the truth of the matter is that, you know, for me, I've had enough of all this fighting, you know. And as you can see, nobody is even talking about fight again. But, you know, Nigerian politicians, they always want to be relevant. You know, you are saying 230 million to unseat Tinubu. How? What is the yardstick? You know, sometimes our politicians, they will just open their mouth and speak because they want to be relevant. It is not because what they are saying is true. Because they want to be relevant. When last have you heard of El-Rufai in the political scene of Nigeria? In the last 1-2 months, I have not read anything about El-Rufai, but maybe El-Rufai still want Nigerians to know that it still exists. So it comes up with over 230 million people to unseat President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Well, I can only wish him good luck in his political journey. But El-Rufai will not be the person that will tell us how many Nigerians will unseat President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. God will spare our lives until 2027, and we will all be alive, and we will see as it will go in 2027.
Okay, I think it's a fine place to leave it this morning. A big thanks to you for being a part of this segment today. Thank you for your input.
Thank you.
I've been speaking with Liko Shobowale, who is a seasoned journalist and public affairs analyst.
Thank you so much.
A big thanks to the audience too for being a part of this segment. We need to take a short break now, and when we come back, we move on to big story. Samson Balogun is standing by. My name is Oluwayemi Adelapo. I'm saying thank you.